Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. I am super excited to hang out with my friend and incredible talent manager, Chris Giovanni, who has started CGEM Talent Management. And he has so much information to imbue to actors out there who are listening. And we are going to connect with him right now and hang out and let's have some fun. Chris, come on. And I'm so grateful that you're coming on with me today.
Hey Sherry, how have you been? It's been a while.
I know. Happy New Year.
Happy
Happy
New
New Year.
Year. I
All right,
feel like
first
I
of all,
haven't seen you. I haven't seen you since we had lunch in West Hollywood years ago. I feel.
I know it. And yet we both still look the same.
Okay.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Chris, I want to get right into it because I know I don't have that much time with you because you're so freaking busy and I love it. And I'm so happy. And he's all stressed out already on January 10th because you know
Right.
the season is piling in already. And you know what? I will say I have some really great clients of yours that I've been working with that are so damn dedicated and it inspires me. So I like talking with industry professionals who have actors who are so dedicated to the craft, who want to immerse themselves and just get better. Even if they're doing films, they're still in classes. And your people are awesome.
Thank you. Well, I always love to send clients to you because I feel like you get it. You have that inside industry knowledge and you really bring it out of them. So kudos to you. I thank you for
Thank
the
you.
service.
Thank you. I am obsessed with coaching actors and teaching the acting. I mean, that's where I come from. So if I can get other people to get it, oh, it's so exciting. And being an actor, doing this artistry is an addicting business. So you want to learn the craft, you want to immerse it, then you want to book those jobs. You take that roller coaster. Am I getting it? Am I not getting it? Then I get it. Then,
Right.
the addiction happens. But enough about that. I want to talk about you. And I want to hear all about, like, Chris, you started this management company when you were what, 19?
19 years old. So it's funny because I went to a school that specialized in performing arts. And so growing up from, I would say, sixth to about 12th grade, I
Mhm.
was into the performing arts. So I did play production, I did advanced drama. And once I got out of high school, I maintained a lot of connections. And so I would, for instance, like I would have friends that were models. And then
Yeah.
I would know photographers. And my photographer friends would be like, hey, do you know someone that can model for me for our e-commerce campaign? $200, pair them up. And then that would be, like 10%, that'd be like $20, right? And then I realized this was a business. Like I said, this is management. And
Yeah,
it just
but
kind of fell into there.
But that's so young to you had, I mean, to 19 to start a business, that means you have huge amounts of confidence inside your soul. Where did that come from? Thank you, mom and dad, maybe, or mom, maybe, or something, maybe, because 19, you're a baby.
I know. We're definitely thankful to mom and grandma. I think that growing up, I always knew I was going to be successful. I just didn't know exactly what route that was going to be.
Mhm.
Obviously, being a part of the arts really brought that out of me to say, like, I can appreciate acting. Like, being on stage and learning, like, pantomiming, like the stage cues and stuff, and like Shakespeare, that really like intrigued me. I just knew I didn't want to be in front of the camera once I became 19.
You
So
knew that there was some kind of business sense that you had. You're
yeah,
a connector. A manager is a connector, really, and a hand holder and a guide.
yeah, I absolutely like. I love the business aspect of it from a very young year because it was like I found myself looking at contracts. Like when I was going to school, like I would take business law classes, and so I wanted to learn the insides of the business and help build others. And
Okay.
so
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so at 19, like, I just kind of, I had $100. I started a website and I built CGEM. It was originally CGEM Model Management because that was what I was starting off as. And
Mhm.
then it just catapulted. I started building relationships and we got into actors and that's been our thing.
Yeah, that's so crazy to me. So when you started, so you had $100, you could start a website, but then how did you start meeting people and And like, because a part of a manager, you have to get people that you're going to represent, but you also have to have connections with casting directors and producers and executive producers and directors. How did you go about doing that? For anybody
So,
out there who might be thinking about becoming a manager or an
yeah.
agent or anything besides being an actor, or just hearing your journey.
Absolutely. So in the beginning, and I said this in my post yesterday because our company just turned 13 years. Um,
Congratulations.
thank
Happy,
you.
happy to you. Amazing.
Thank you. Please don't nail out my age.
You're still
No.
a baby. I could be your mother. Okay. So just enough about that.
Okay. So I started off with just cold emailing, right? So
Really? That's amazing.
that that's really where it started. I cold emailed a lot of people, and of course, my emails in the beginning weren't as put together. So I was met with a lot of ignores because in our business, ignoring is very common,
Yeah.
right? And so I had to figure out how am I going to get into this industry if what I'm doing right now is not working. So I changed the approach in my emails. I started saying, hey, I'm new on the scene. I acknowledge that. I know that you're very busy, but I would like to treat you to lunch of some sort of your choice. I don't know many professionals in Hollywood that would turn down a lunch, especially one that's on my dime. So I ended up meeting an agent. I'll say his name, Daniel Ortega, who was at Pantheon at the time.
Great.
Um, and he sat down with me and really ran the ropes. Like at that time, I didn't know much about it. I didn't know about co-stars. I just knew that there was a film business there and I wanted to be a part of it. He sat down with me for a couple of times and he's like, well, look, like, co-stars make this much and this is what kind of actors analyze the industry, watch television. And I took that in, and then I also talked to a few other affiliates like Cheryl Martin from CMA, who was really one of my mentors. And she's like, you should get into the Talent Managers Association so that way you can really learn the business. So at 24, I made the investment to get into the TMA. And that's where I really got to learn, like, how it works among working with other managers that have working clients and what the networks and studios are looking for when they're buying actors. And really just to attest to everything, it's really just having that wherewithal to say, like, look, like, let me learn first. Let me understand the industry before I go throwing myself in there.
But you didn't give up. Like you started at 19 and now you're saying you cut to when you're 24. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
went into it and then started learning as you went along. And that takes guts and balls, and like I tell all my actors, to be courteously aggressive and doing it. And you do need mentorship. So whoever that person was, Daniel, who took you under your wing, he obviously opened the doors for you.
Yeah, he definitely helped. Daniel and Cheryl
Yeah.
Martin, were
Yeah.
very influential in the fact that I was able to learn how to transition my business because between 19 to 24, I was mainly focused on, e-commerce models
Mhm.
or, unscripted talent, which, that reaches a peak. It's non-union work. So it's like you can have, and with models, there's an age limit. So once you reach that age limit, then you got to find a whole new batch. And I was like, this isn't really like, it's not fulfilling me as a business rep. So that's when I merged into going with Daniel and Cheryl and learning, like, okay, this is how you represent actors. This is how you know who has it or what kind of tweaks or what classes they need to go to, which helped me to propel the business with that insight.
And then also how to hold their hand and how to make deals. If you have to make a deal, I know it's not the manager's job to make a deal, but if your client that you get has something and then they don't have an agent, don't you have to make the deal for them?
Yeah. So I don't close. What I'll do is normally I try to put them with an agent. If I can't right away, then I have legal representation because obviously California law, we can't close on a deal directly, right?
Got it. Okay, and then let's just cut to that little scenario though. So what exactly is the job of the manager? Because I mean, I know, but people listening don't exactly know. And sometimes there's a crossover and they get confused. So let's go over the basics of that, please.
Absolutely. So I would say a manager is supposed to be the backbone of your career, right? It's supposed to be the person that tells you what to do, how
Yeah.
to do it, how to advise you on how to navigate the industry, because majority of the actors that come out here are normally from somewhere small back east or from the East Coast, and they're just thrown into the wolves, which is LA show business. And so most actors come in and they're like, okay, well, let me get an agent. And then they're submitting against agents across town. But what they don't understand is that agents look for the car to already be moving. And if the car isn't moving, they're not going to get in. This is the job of the manager to put the oil in the car, make sure that it's drivable, check the brakes and stuff, and prepare it and get the car running so that way the agent comes in and kind of complements the work of the manager. Now, as the client starts to book, and we're talking about series regulars and leads and features, the manager comes in and becomes a little bit more. They help with the public relations. They help with getting a business manager to help with the finances. They help with legal team, and making sure the team is full so that way the car continues to go further.
Right.
So yeah, especially in the beginning, like a manager is very important because we have access to breakdowns and we can help them get the roles that they need so that way it can help start their career.
And then you hold their hand along the way because I feel like actors should not be calling their agents. They have to call their manager if they're having issues or, conflicts or feeling nervous. I mean, I actually tell people, even to your manager, don't complain because don't you want to feel like that quality of the person that you're working for is confident? So does it bother you when actors, call you and get worried about things or stressed out? Do you mind that, or is that part of your thing?
No, I encourage it because your manager is supposed to be the closest person to you besides your family. We have a good amount of clients, and they all have my phone number. They all have my cell phone number, and I've been on calls. They've cried to me. They've been mad. They've been frustrated. It hurts sometimes. It hurts, especially when you are going for a series regular and you're told you're getting ready to make six figures up front when you negotiate the test deal, and then it goes to another actor because it's based off of a look, you know?
Listen, not even for a series regular, any role, because any role you put work into it.
Right.
Role
Yeah.
you
You
get
put
any
work
role.
into it. You coach, and this industry it's fickle. You can have that moment where it's like I have clients that will get like 10, 12 auditions in 1 month, and then it might be slow the next month. Like
Yep.
you just never know. So I always open the door for my clients to feel comfortable calling me, even if it's just not even about work, if it's just personal that they're dealing with. I would say a manager is my second job is the therapist. Like I got to figure out how to get them in the mindset to be okay, so that way they can focus on booking these roles or whatever they need to do for their career.
I think that's so great. And I think that's so important for a manager because actors are such vulnerable, risk takers on a daily basis. And gosh, if I was an actress and I had you holding my hand, I can say, Chris, I'm freaking out right now. And you'll be like, it's cool, just calm down. It's just to have that extra person who's in the industry with you, pushing your career forward. It's probably very soothing for your actors.
Right. Yeah. And also like, it's important to have a team. I always say that is caring of you because it's very easy to get into this like machine model, which I call, a rep that takes on an actor and just throws them out the wall to see what they look, right? And the big thing is having that connection with each artist to be like, okay, I know this person like the back of my hand. What's going on, getting that feedback from them for casting and stuff and just tracking that progress so that way you can have these kind of conversations, or they feel comfortable to have these kind of conversations with you.
And do you reach out for feedback on some of the auditions, on a lot of the auditions, or just the ones that you just feel like you just want to, you want the feedback just to see how the actor's doing? Because obviously you're either going to get the job or not get the job. You don't really, an actor doesn't really need feedback. You just want to get the callback, you want to get the pin, you want to get the booking, you want to get the test deal. You want to close the deal. But do you follow up on all your clients, or do you pick and choose what you're going to reach out to casting for?
Not at the first round. I usually tell all my clients, the feedback in the first round is the callback. So
Yeah.
I won't nag casting or studio execs if it's at the beginning. If they reach to a producer session or a director session or a pin, that's generally where I'll get the feedback from the creatives to see how they're doing. Another reason why I would obviously want to follow up for a client is if they're going in for an office 5, 6, 7 times or a show 5, 6, 7 times, and I'm trying to figure out what's not allowing them to book, I might call that casting director or that studio exec, and I might ask like, hey, I noticed, this client has been going in for 5, 6 times. He's been pinned to, called in 3 more times, like what's going on? And usually I'll relay that feedback to the client, like, okay, take this back to your coach so that way you understand what is going on.
But is it anything really? It's just really an actor's energy. If they're getting that close and the casting office is bringing them in so many times, they're obviously doing good work. They're obviously liking what they're doing. So it's just that little bit of energy. You just never know, because it's so random. It's so random, because you could give the best audition of your life and not hear a thing, and you can give the worst audition that you feel like you've done, and you can book the job.
Absolutely.
Am I right?
Yeah, it's definitely energy. I think it's confidence and energy. And that's why in the beginning, when we usually sign clients, that's the first 60 days is really just me analyzing their audition, their materials, how they present themselves. And I make notes on it. I'm like, hey, I would love for you to make stronger choices with this, or take this back to your coach. I'm noticing that you're a little bit boxed in when you're self-taping, And it's obviously different now because of COVID. Beforehand you can go into the office and you have to bring that je ne sais quoi to the casting director. Now you have to do it in a box and in a tape and send it. So
it's different, but it's so lucky because actors can do it over and over again. I say this a lot on all my podcasts, but I think it's such a blessing. Oh my God, it's such a blessing.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this. When you meet an actor, what is it about them that you respond to that you're like, I want to work with this person? Is it their resume? Is it their body of work? Is it their personality? Is it everything combined? What is it? Is it different for everybody? What's that thing, Chris?
Well, when I first started, it was definitely resume. And that was because that was what I heard a lot among my peers, as well as analyzing my pitches, that there was more of a response when the client had credits, right? Mm-hmm. And where that shifted for me was when I had an open call 3 years ago. And that open call, it was virtual. And I said I was not going to focus on resumes. I was going to focus in the moment of these people, right? And I ended up finding a girl by the name of Inajite, who was phenomenal.
She is phenomenal. I've coached her.
Yes, she coached her. I found her. Within a week, she had an audition for a series regular. It was the first audition. It was before we left in December. Long story short, she booked that. That was her first audition. And from that told me that it's not a matter of the credits, but what that actor is putting out. Because her tapes she's just a girl that just naturally has it. And is thankful to you for your coaching, because she's in the moment when she tapes. She's not thinking about, oh, well, is this how it should go? She's in the face of the camera, she's giving it. So when I look for an actor, I look for someone that can bring it, that's just not worried about what's happening, that's in the moment, that obviously has the confidence, that knows what they want. I ask actors all the time, I'm like, well, what shows do you want to be on? And they tend to stick from the two, which is like one of those CW shows or like Euphoria. And then when I asked them, well, why? Do you relate to any character? And are you watching this so that you know that if I do submit you and you have to play their cousin or their uncle or whatever, are you gonna be able to really relate and adapt? They usually fall flat with that answer.
Oh, really? Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy to me because I tell all my actors to watch all the shows because you know what? There's an essence of your own personality that you could probably match a lot. There's so many, there's such an abundance of shows right now. And that's so
Right.
interesting that people limit themselves. So yeah, I'd be like,
Yeah. And then also social media, like social media is not the end all be all to me. Like I'm not looking for follower count, but it would be great to see different sides of my actors. Like if they swim a lot, like we would love to see videos of that. Like if they are out in the scene, going to SAG events and stuff, like stuff that really like showcases who they are publicly. Because when you become an actor and when you become a series regular, like there's TCAs, there's press releases, there's satellite tours and stuff. So that's where that personality comes out, and we look to see if we can have that early on, so that way we're not trying to coach them once they get to that level.
well, it is all about inner confidence. So if you have the inner confidence that your vulnerability is going to shine bright, so you're going to feel like, wow, this person believes in themselves so much. I want to hang out with that person. So I
Right.
feel like it's that hangout ability factor. And, people are attracted to that, the power of who you are individually. So you like the person's isms and their quirks, if they could just get that on the page right away, because at the end of the day, when you're doing your characters, it is you in the imaginary circumstances with some other personalizations to connect you. But if you're feeling that in a conversation with somebody, if you're hanging out, this is my opinion, if you're hanging out with somebody and they're intriguing you and you're like, wow, I love this energy, you're going to probably want to sign them and work with them and see how it goes, right?
Right. Yeah, energy is huge. I've had this saying on my website for years, and it's like I know who has star presence within the first few seconds of meeting them, and it's just like how they captivate the room, how they are in their interviews, like they're able to really articulate what they want, they know what they want, and everyone that I've signed, because obviously we get a lot of applicants. I feel that from interviewing them that they have what it takes, and not to say that anyone that we don't decide to go doesn't have what it takes, but their interviews are a little bit more stronger and they're a little bit more present with what they want for their career because they're hungry. They're here paying, thousands of dollars of rent, using their savings and stuff. So they're gonna go big or go home.
And do you feel like, because now that you say that you'll take people that don't have a lot on their resume, what is it, their personality that will intrigue you, and then you'll put them, what's your process? Do you say, okay, I'm gonna take you on for a while, you need to immerse yourself in classes, you need to immerse yourself in coaching on everything we get you, or do you take it slow? What's your process?
Yeah. So if I'm taking someone that doesn't have credits, I'll start at the email.
Mhm.
Um, I love a very concise and straight to the point email. Like, hey, this is my name, this is where I'm from. Like, I have done this so far, A, B, and C. Special skills are I'm looking forward to talking to you about management.
Mhm.
I think a big red flag for me is the emails that are just like 8 paragraphs of just
Oh,
random information. I have a cat named Henry. Like, no, it's just too much, and I become overwhelmed. And also just making sure that it's concise headshots, maybe a clear reel. If you don't have a reel, a couple of self-tapes work so we can see. And from there, I'm like, okay, I gauge the market. I'm like, is this a look that's currently going? Or is this person so passionate that I feel like I need to learn more? Then I get
mm.
into the video interview, which is, I ask them a bunch of questions like, where you're from, what's your story? Like, that's where I get in depth with the story. Credits, your experience on set, how would you describe yourself in 3 words? What kind of
Yeah.
shows you're watching? And
Mhm.
this is the one that throws them off. I said, if there's one actor currently on the scene right now and you think that you could take their role, what would it be?
Oh, interesting.
And their answer kind of tells me if they are really in tune with the industry because they know their type, They know the actor that they're most likely going to go against in the table arenas, and they know what they need to bring it to the table. And from there, like once I can piece that together and I say, okay, this person's passionate, they want to get in class with Shari Shaw, they want to get in class, like
Anybody else out there? Yes.
yes, we can move forward. And you know, usually that, like I said, that first 60 days is where I can kind of understand like who's serious, because I'll have, you know, potential applicants that'll say, yeah, I'll get in classes right away. And we're talking about it 90 days later and we're like, okay, so the season's over, you know?
But plus, you have to train as an actor all year for years. And I have people that are on shows that are still in classes because they want to immerse themselves in just fine tuning and working that muscle, because you're not always on set. You're not always, you know, creating the life of a character. So when you're in classes, you constantly are, and you're holding yourself accountable on a weekly basis. So you're going to do the homework. And by working that muscle, you just get better. But I want to sidetrack. I want to ask you about the reels. Okay. So I tell my students, and then you're going to have a different opinion, that I think clips from class, if you don't have a show that you're on that you can't pull something and use it for your reel, then work on something from class, come into the taping room, get lit, get sound, and just do a minute of comedy, a minute of drama, because you guys just want to see what the person looks like. Some people recommend going to those other places to having those reels done. I don't think the writing is so good, so I don't think they come out that well. And I think the reel, so tell me what your opinion is, because I could just babble forever. So what's your opinion about the reel?
I agree with you. I actually, it suggests that my clients either use a self-tape or use class material, because and I've always gotten mixed feedback from this, but I hate when actors go and pay to get a reel done. And the reason why I feel that is like, because I feel like acting is about being relatable to that character. And also the work that you put in and auditioning and getting it, there's a different kind of emotion that is on camera when you have done the work for that. But it seems fake to me, well, from my experience. It feels like it's set up. And it's, hey, I did this because I want to get more auditions, versus I did this because I worked for it and I got it. So I tell all my actors, I would give me the self-tapes, give me the class footage, because I have put people on shows, or I've gotten auditions from a pitch from self-tape material.
I'm going to have to 100% agree. And I think the main thing with those reels that people are paying for is that the writing is not good. And when the writing's not good and they're just doing this two-shot back and forth, it just seems like it's put on a little bit. It doesn't feel organic and layered and nuanced. And I think for dramas, you have to see actors who are nuanced. For comedy, you have to see your isms and your quirks come through. So I think there's more layers when you're working a scene from class, and it seems more organic and natural and real and
growth. Yeah, like it's a piece that you've been working on. You've been coached properly, because a lot of the times they just go straight into the reel, something that was written in like, you know, an hour, and then they send it to, you know, us, and I'm like, this doesn't feel real. Like I feel like it, you know, some of the places they go to, I'm like, I've seen this background like 6-7 times already, so I already know where you went, you know? It feels predictable. So I agree with you 100%, you know, class footage and self-tapes, you know? I even say, if you want to go to your coach and take some material that's already been released, like some sides and tape, that works too.
as long as it's been released, you could do anything.
Right.
100% to feel grounded and loose. And I think the key for those reels is your personality has to shine through.
Right.
And you mentioned types. So I don't like to say types, but I get what you mean by that, because it's a certain energy. Not to say that you're going to pocket somebody like in this little box just for one type. So what exactly do you mean when you say the type?
So I can clarify, I watch television and I look at what is currently coming out as far as looks, types, ethnicity, religion, whatever it is, right? I don't box anyone in, because if I like the person, I'm going to take them on. I could probably say that I'm probably one of the first few managers to take on transgender talent. I did that a very long time ago when Euphoria first came out. And I have successfully learned how to accommodate diverse talent.
Mm.
So when I look at clients, I'm not like looking through and saying, okay, how do they look? Like, you know, I'm really like, okay, what is their story and how is their marketability going to be? And I have that conversation with them when I interview them. I'm like, look, like there may not be a lot of roles that fit you, but we're going to make sure that you get the roles that do. So if I have that conversation with them to let them know, like, you know, this market is pretty saturated, like all my African American males, like a lot of them apply with me. And I tell them, I say, look, like there's a lot on that market right now. And you're going to get auditions and you're going to book them, but it's a matter of booking the right role. So as long as they understand, like I'm pretty much open, only thing I just don't do personally, because as a manager, I'm never going to have 500,000 clients, I'm going to I try to find people who are individual of each other. So that way you don't feel like, here's Chris with, 7 of me, and I have to worry about is 2 of them going to get an audition and not me,
I hear you 100%, and I feel like you are immersed in your clients, that you care so much, and that makes my heart smile because as a coach, I'm obsessed, right? And I care, and when I'm coaching somebody, it's part of me going on that journey. When people are getting better in class, it's part of me going on that journey. So what I'm hearing you say is it's part of you. Every person you take, you almost become a part of. You get underneath who they are.
Yeah, I'm like, I've been to weddings, I go to birthday parties, I throw birthday parties for clients, like I've been to baby showers, like I've flown out to Texas for one of my clients' first, babies, birthdays. Like I'm really in tune with my clients because I want them to, they're essentially trusting me with their life and their career, on a daily basis. So it's like, I want them to feel like they have that support and they're not going 6-7 months being like, okay, so what's going on, And then another thing is like a lot of actors will see, their friends like having success and stuff or getting auditions, and it's having to explain to them that the role that's for you will be for you, right? You're not going to get every audition. There's many things that can come into play there. And just encouraging them to stay in the mindset to be ready. So when they do book, then they can look back and say, okay, I understand why he said that, because this role was for me, not that one that I was talking about with my friend.
And know that they're not your clients and actors out there. You're not going to get every role that you go out for. You might not get any role for a while, and all of a sudden there's an energy shift. So what do you say to your actors when they get into the actor cycle? Because it is an actor cycle. You could be working and then all of a sudden it just dries up and nothing you've done is different. It's just that cycle. What is your advice to your actors?
Well, yeah, my best advice is not only to stay positive, but also to understand that this business is a game of time, right? And one of the biggest success stories I could say as of recently that I was very proud of was I have a client by the name of Barry Briscoe. I've worked with Barry for, I would say, almost 2.5, 3 years now. I met him during COVID. And when I got Barry, he's very theater oriented. So he's a real thespian, right? And he's had
my favorite.
I know, but he's so big, like his energy, like his confidence. I was like, I have to sign him. Got him. And there was a period of time where it was a bit dry because he's, a more mature male and not a lot of roles come out for that age range, right? And sent him some auditions, obviously we didn't get those. And then I don't know what happened last year. It was just his year. He recurred on Reasonable Doubt with Kerry Washington. Then went on, he has another star show where he's a recurring guest star getting ready to come out with their season 2. He just did, he's slated to appear in the White Man Can't Jump reboot. He's
crazy.
He's on a national for SAG, McDonald's, like all this in 1 year, just probably just did a Super Bowl commercial. Like this guy is really living in his moment, and he could have very well gave up because it was a good year of just not having anything, but he stayed persistent and now he's working consistently.
It's so good, but you do need that training. And I do love, I'm about to start taking someone through their next Broadway performance. But I'm obsessed with theater-based actors too, because that training under your belt allows you to be able to adjust for film and television, which is a lot more a smaller version of your theatrical, what you've been trained to do. But because you have the tools and the necessary training underneath from your younger years, there's just there's a confidence factor. There's also a voice, a resonation of your voice, because you learn how to speak from your diaphragm and you can control that. And there's a little bit of a difference that I find. Not that it's going to, matter really along the way, because whatever you train in is going to be wonderful. But there's a vocal confidence. Do you see that at all?
Yeah, I will say with Barry, obviously I'm huge on theater, coming from that background. I do think that with coaching, it amplifies it, especially like if they're going to you, of course, right? And sometimes they are a little too big with the performance, because that's what it is.
No, you have to learn, but you have the training, so you can learn how to bring it in, bring it to the heart, have that person right in front of your face. Yes.
Right. Exactly. And so when they're, like I said, I keep using you for instance because we use you a lot, but it's like, how to bring them back to being one and not so huge with the performance, because it can go from jazz hands to a real gritty, just relatable performance, which I think once they get the best of that and knowing when it's okay to go big, when it's like Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist or something, or if it's like something gritty like a Euphoria, like they know the balance. And that's what I think coaching does very well for them. And then they're great.
Yeah, it's just you need that third eye. That third eye really helps everybody, because, and we're going to segue off of theater, but theater, you have to reach the back of the room. And even when you adjust from theater and you're pulling it in, I know, because when I was an actress, I came from theater and I had to make that adjustment. Now it's so easy. I'm not an actress anymore, but I understand it. So a high piece of advice out there for actors is that put your hand in front of your face. So when you're putting your hand in front of your face and you're using the other person, that's the other person, you're not going to have to shout. You bring it to the heart. You just talk to them right from here. Try that out there right now, you guys, because it's going to adjust it for you, because that camera comes to your heart. So the simplicity of all that nuance really helps you. Anyway, blah, 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 blah.
That's
Okay, what I want to ask you. I want to ask you before we close out, because I'm keeping this short and brief today. Here's my question. I want you to shout out 3 positive things that you want to advise actors to do as they start their career. And then we're going to end this with 3 things to continue in their path of this career.
Okay, so I'm sorry, you said
3 positive things. 3 things, or 3 just, it doesn't have to be positive, but just things that they need to do to start their career before they even reach out for looking for a manager.
I think the first thing to do is to, one, study the business. I tell a lot of actors, it's very important that you understand the market, which is through looking like Deadline and the Hollywood Reporter and stuff. So research is one, so that way you know who you're going against, your types and networks and what they're looking for. Okay. 2, I think is motivation, making sure that you have some kind of consistent regimen. I would say classes, making sure that you're staying healthy, exercising, eating right, because it's not just about can this person act, it's a business. So they want to make sure that who they're putting on a camera is equipped mentally and physically to be ready for whatever they are to do with their role. The third is just like, I'm very religious. Everyone knows Romans 8:28. I
didn't know. I just knew that right now. I didn't know. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, Christian. I have Romans 8:28 on everything, my Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. I stay religious, or I pray a lot. So I always pray before I do a lot of things before I get up for the day. So that kind of helps. So I just say being in tune with not only your emotions and just understanding that your moment will come is the biggest motivation I say for not just actors, but myself, Like I wake up every day and I know I'm going to compete against every major management company, both in LA, outside of LA, overseas. But I always know that I'm going to give my best shot and I'm going to do what I can for that day. So.
And so you're basically saying some kind of spiritual connection, whatever that is for you, that makes you feel like you have that little bit of extra energy to push you forward and trusting yourself. Yes?
Right. Yeah. And then
Throwing it up to a higher power, whatever that higher power is.
exactly, whatever, they feel best connected with, or like I exercise every day. Like, I make sure I eat breakfast and, just really get in the mindset to approach the day. And I think once you get that kind of kickoff, from the beginning, you're off to the races.
And especially as actors, because you are the instrument that you play. So you have to have your sleep, you have to have your healthy
Right.
eating, because when you don't eat right, you just feel shitty, and then it makes your brain not respond and be able to be accessible, and your heart to stay vulnerable if you're not nourishing and drinking a lot of water. So sleep, exercise, food, and water is the necessary elements for actors. But guess what I'm hearing from you, it's a necessary thing for you too, because even though you're not in front of the camera, you are an artist as a manager. So you have to have the nourishment to sustain yourself. And I'm sure your days are long with a lot of energy coming at you, as you say, like a therapist, because your actors need you and they rely on you, and they want you to work for them, and they want to work for you too.
Right. And I would say the number one tip, and I think, it's kind of unorthodox, but I truly don't care. Like, I pitch,
Yeah.
I come up with ideas. I have clients that have projects, and I send them out. I don't care if I'm not going to get a response back. I don't care if it's going to be a pass, because every no is going to lead to a yes somehow. But if I never send it out, I
Yes.
won't know.
Yes, I agree. You can never care what anyone thinks of you.
Yes.
You're going to go on the right path. You're going to do it the way you should do it, honestly, and in the way you're, business wise. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I agree with you 100%. And actors, it doesn't matter what anyone thinks of you. Just it matters what you think of you. So do it to your fullest. Yes, Chris?
Yes, that's my number one right there. It's just approach every day as is. Whatever happens, it's going to happen in its timing, and just leave it there.
Yep. And before we close out, and I'm so appreciative of your time, and you guys out there, if you're responding, you connect to Chris and you want to send your material to him, are you open to that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So how will they reach you?
So we have our website, which is cgemtalent.com. There is a button that says Be Discovered, or apply at the bottom. And it's a form where everyone can send their actors access, why they want to be signed, what their goals are. And it goes to the entire team once it's submitted. They can, I look at every single person that comes in, even referrals. And yeah, they could send it there, they can ask questions on the site prior. There's a fact section. Like, they're definitely, all the information is definitely on the website.
Get on this, guys, if you're looking and you're connecting to the information that Chris is saying, because even as actors out there, it's important for you to also have the energy from the manager that you connect to. Right. Don't be desperate and just want anybody. You want to connect. So if you're vibing today with the information Chris is saying, take that chance, send your stuff over. I do this as a vessel for everyone to connect, to make those connections, and to move that needle in your career upward. So before we close out, I'm so appreciative of your time. What are 3 things that you want to leave us with? So when actors are feeling like it's not going their way, what's just a little bit of that inspiration? And then we're going to say thank you for today.
Of course. So number one is understanding that there's a role out there for you. It doesn't matter of it being written. I always tell my clients. I say 2, if you are feeling down, take a break and exercise and eat well. I find myself when I feel stressed out, or if things are not going my way in that day, I might take like an hour break and go eat something, or like go revisit why that didn't happen. So, I can improve. So definitely taking time to be more in tune with yourself. The third advice is, it goes back to my main motto, which is like, if you're feeling like things are not working out, just start shooting it out, reach out to casting. I even know casting says they don't like to really be reached out to. I don't care, They're like, even for us as reps, and I'll give you an insight, like, there's some breakdowns. Majority of them, they'll be like, do not contact casting to call or pitch. I don't care. I listen, we all have bills. My clients want to work. I am going to email you because you're going to look at it regardless. And 9 out of 10, you're going to see someone that you like.
Yeah.
So if you maintain that level of just like, self-awareness of making sure that you're taking care of your body and yourself, understanding that that time is going to come, and 3, doing what you can and not necessarily waiting for your agents or managers or whoever to get you an opportunity. You find that opportunity with them, you will be fine.
I love you. Thank you so much. I've connected to you through all these years and I work with a lot of your clients, but you as a human, I'm inspired by you because you started you still are a baby. You still are so young, whatever, but you have the gumption and the passion. And I respond, I was a self-starter myself with that passion and the perseverance and just like nothing's going to get in your way because you want it and you believe in it. So guys out there, stay courteously aggressive, go for your dreams 100%. Don't care, like Chris says, it doesn't matter. Do it because you love it and you want it and you need it. I love you guys. Chris, thank you so much. We're going to end it today because I'm going into classes and you're going into pitching.
Yes, I'm going to the office right now as we speak.
Happy New Year, everybody. Have a great year ahead. Thanks, Chris.